if somebody can't hear me, let me know, but usually my voice is loud enough. Welcome to you all. This is me. I'm going to take you through essentially what is a philosophy discussion. I'm a certified nutritionist and I'm a health coach. And a lot of people who I work with come to me for food-related issues. Part of my work has become over the years to put food, what I say, put it in its place. And by that I mean that in the modern world, we as a human species, as an animal, are up against so much that is what I believe to be unnatural for us. We're up against things that are unnatural for us. Okay, trust me, I'm getting deep into this. And that causes great stress on us. And so what I want to focus on in this talk is mostly on stress, and then where food fits into that puzzle. So my overall arching thing is, if we can lower chronic stress in the modern world via things like food, but also movement, and also things that are more mentally associated, which I'll get into in a second. Laughter, perfect example. Okay? All these kinds of things fit into the picture of how we can do better in the modern world. This all falls under this basic title, Approaching the Natural. What do I mean by that? Well, when I first became a nutritionist in 2009, I was doing what nutritionists do. I'd have a client and I'd go, what's your food history and what's your medications that you're on and what supplements are you taking? And I'd assess all that stuff and I'd put it in a form and a thing and I'd give you the plan. And 99% of people I worked with 2 months later weren't following any of my recommendations. They'd get the stuff and they'd go, okay, we're going to do this. And then guess what would take over? Life would take over. All the things they're used to doing for years, 50, 60, 70, boom, all those things come back because they're busy. They got stuff to do. So what was I? I was a diet. 95% of diets fail. I wanted to crack that nut. I wanted to find out, why do 95% of diets fail when many of them are nutritionally sound? But what's keeping people from taking on lifelong change? I'm sure you read the description in the poster. Small steps. I'll get into that because it's a unique way of talking about small steps that I've crafted. It's not just, I'll get into that. But the approaching the natural moment came in this frustration of like, why am I not successful here? How do I crack this nut? And I was driving up my street in my car, and I had this moment where I looked down and I went, how far we have become from us as an animal. How far from anything natural we've become. Here I am in this machine, and it's driving me up this road, and the caloric expenditure, energy that it's taking me to drive up this road is the push of a pedal. It's amazing. I'm going 35 miles an hour with no effort at all. It's just propelling me up this road. I'm blocked off from the sun. I'm breathing air coming out of a vent. Is that normal? Of course it's normal. But what I saw was that many of the things that are normal for us in the modern world, sitting in a cubicle, sitting in front of a computer all day, normal, eating at restaurants, fine. Eating things that are salted and sugared and blended and spiced and made to be delicious, normal. Ordering takeout, normal. Talking to our families via technology, normal. But when you look at us as an animal, when you start to remember that we are an animal, physically, and I believe mentally, we still are an animal. When you look at that, what's normal in the modern world is over here, and what's normal for us as a species is over here. It's normal for us to not move our bodies, but it's not normal for us as a species. As an animal, we're designed to move. We function best on movement. We function best on eating food that our bodies understand and that we're designed to consume. That creates a conflict between what's normal for us in the modern world and what's normal for us as a species. Here's where I went to with that. Not, hey, you guys, let's all go back and live in the wild, shall we? No, because I don't want to. I like what I'm doing here. But what if we, by degrees, move a little bit closer to what's natural for us as an animal again? What if we approach our lives and say, can I make little dents in my severely unnatural life? And this is not a judgment. This is the modern world, you guys. This is a modern world. This is the world we've created that we have not adapted to yet. You want to know why I know that? Because we're not thriving health and happiness-wise. Our species is not getting happier and we're not getting healthier. That shows me that we have not been able to hit a balance with the world that we're living in. Guess who does? Wild animals. No wild animal is overweight. No wild animal's like, I don't want to eat any more leaves. I should, but they eat till they're full. They're done. They move their bodies. Why do they move their bodies? To do stuff. We don't. We don't have to move our bodies. Isn't that amazing? I can take my cell phone right now and I can call a pizza place and have 2,000 calories delivered into this door, and this was the exercise that it took me to get that 2,000 calories. That's a weird model we've created. We don't have to move our bodies, and we don't have to eat healthy food. In nature, food is food. There's no healthy food in nature. It's food. But here, we go into Safeway, and we have a choice around food. Are we equipped to make a choice around food? No, we're not. We have to make an effort to make that choice. We have to be attentive and understand what serves our bodies and minds best so we can start to include more of those day to day. When we have a choice between Numino Oreos, which I cannot have in the house, I'm a health coach, can't have them in the house. Okay? Between that and a head of lettuce, wow, gorillas don't make a choice. Animals don't walk around going, do I feel like Italian food or Mexican? That's a weird place for us to be in. That's because most of what fuels our food choices is here. It's mental, it's pleasure, and it's great. And I've never taken food away from anybody as a nutritionist. I've never said stop. Because when anybody says stop to an adult, what do? They turn into a 10-year-old. You're not the boss of me. Right? But what I do say is this. What if you learn to add in stuff? What if you learn to take moments in your life where you bring in things that are nourishing for your mind and your body? Notice I'm always saying mind and body because there's no separation for me at all. I don't believe you can have a healthy body without a healthy mind and vice versa. So ultimately, when I finish this talk, it's going to be about a way, I'm going to try to sell you on this, a way of approaching your life day to day. And part of that is the message and the understanding that we are an animal. And that this big statement that I'm going to make here, and I just want you to just humor me. I believe that we are designed to be happy, and I believe that we're designed to be healthy. Here's a fact. Trillions of things are going on in our bodies right now. By the way, just so you know, 10 times in your body are bacteria. 10 times more bacteria than a human cell. You are more bacteria than you are. And a lot of my research these days is the balance between that and the interrelationship between the bacteria. Of course, we're clean all the time, right? We have hand sanitizer and we're cleaning up all the time. We never eat dirt. We wash our vegetables. And what's that effect? Heavy duty, immune system, nutrition, how to absorb more nutrients, mood altering, literally mood altering, sleep affected by bacteria, crazy stuff. How do we bring these two things together? How do we marry the natural part of our bodies that are designed to be happy and healthy? Again, trillions of things going on in your body right now. We go on detoxes. I'm going to do a detox. The body's always trying to detoxify. The body is always trying to be healthy. It's trillions of things going on in your body right now. Your body doesn't go, you know, you're feeding me fast food, I'm shutting down. The body goes, all right, I'll work with what I've got. That's brilliant. It's wonderful. It's brilliant and it's wonderful. And what are we doing with our minds? What are we designed to do? Are you here because you want to live worse and be less healthy and less happy? Who here came to this talk to be less healthy and less happy? Anybody? If you did, I'm so sorry that you thought that I'd be delivering that. No, we are designed to be happy. We are looking to live better. And again, I don't want to skip ahead, but part of the message of my small steps is to infuse in you an ethic of self-care, that you are worth taking care of, that it's a natural state for you to take care of yourselves. That's why you're here. Is it easy in the modern world? No, because we walk out that door and we got these little things and we got computers and laptops and television that are bombarding us with quick fixes and diets and solutions to all of our problems in 21 days. Or my favorite, while you sleep. And that's the ultimate human success story. If I can do something while I sleep, that's amazing, right? Why do we turn that down? Happy marriage while you sleep. What am I talking about here? Before we get hyper-focused on food, and again, I'm a nutritionist, I will tell you this fact about me. I think less about food than anybody I know. Because I know enough to not have to think about it anymore. But we want to know, We want to know, and we want to read the top 10 lists of superfoods and blueberries and this antioxidants and phytochemicals and vitamins and minerals. But we kind of, if we just back off a little bit, I'm going to teach you enough about nutrition, by the way, that you'll never have to talk to a nutritionist again. The knowledge is there. The implementation is what's missing. How, again, back to my failure as a nutritionist, how do we build in these things long term? How do we build in these new behaviors long term? That's the nut to crack. And the reason why we don't is because sometimes the process of implementing new behavior is what? Stressful. It's stressful to take on a new thing. It's stressful to eat food that we've never eaten before. And now somebody's telling us we have to eat it every day and we can't have the things that we love. It's stressful to get off your couch having never exercised and then go to the gym and beat yourself up in a spin class for 45 minutes. Exercise is good for you. Really? At that level? Really? Maybe not. Maybe not. What happens when we're under stress? We have a stress response that we were designed with. It's one of the reasons why we have been so successful as a species. But here's what it was designed for. It was designed for life and death situations. It was designed for survival. Okay? I have taught hundreds and hundreds of people, and I always ask, are you under stress? And they go, yeah, I'm under stress. How much of that is life-threatening? Well, none. We're not being chased by leopards. We're not about to fall off a cliff. Sure, there's times maybe where somebody, I got mugged, but it's like they remember it from 1978. It's not like every week. And yet we're more stressed now than we've ever been as a species. We're more stressed now than we've ever been as a species. None of it, virtually none, especially in the United States, is day-to-day life-threatening. But our design is for that very time. So when we come across a lion in the wild, let's say, not now, but when we do, and we come across that lion and we interpret with our minds, danger, the body goes immediately, I'm taking you out of the equation. I will take care of the rest. Thank you very much. You just be quiet. Let me do the thing. I'm going to raise my blood pressure. I'm going to raise my blood cholesterol. I'm going to weaken my digestion. I don't want to spend any energy digesting food. I got to fight a lion. I want to digest and put that on the side. I'm not going to repair anything that I was repairing because that's wasted energy too. I'm going to put energy to the lung and the brains, make sure that I have quick reaction time. I'm going to take nutrients, energy out of the cells, put it in the bloodstream, and then pump my blood pressure up to kick that blood everywhere I need to go because I got to run or I got to fight. And I got to make sure I got that all mobilized. Interesting little side note. That occurrence is due to a hormone cascading. I'm not going to get glucocorticoids are called. And they're the ones that fire all this. They're the ones, okay, here's what you do, and you do that, bring up the blood pressure. But interestingly, under stress, remember how I just said, energy comes out of the fat cells, out of the cells and into the bloodstream to be utilized. You know what diabetes is? The inability of the body to get the calories and energy out of the bloodstream and into the cells. So we talk about sugar all the time, but it's a stress issue because the glucocorticoids, those hormones under stress, are saying, let's get the energy out of the cells and put them into the bloodstream. And the body's going, insulin's going, yeah, but I want to get them out of the bloodstream and put them back in the cells. Constant conflict. Fat around the midsection. Under stress, the body will go, okay, fat cells, we're going to mobilize over here. Got a little action. This is considered a gland. Fat cells around the midsection, a gland. Guess what kind of gland? Inflammatory. An inflammatory gland. Here, the body will make fat cells and move them over here to be utilized. Under times of famine, this is an energy source. This backup energy source close to the liver, where liver can convert that fat to energy. Is this bad? No, this is brilliant. I don't look at somebody overweight and go, how many calories? I go, let's assess your overall stress. Food being one of those things that affects your stress. One of the things that affects your stress. So is lack of movement or too much movement and everything else that I'll get into. So here we go, the natural stress response. Weakened digestion, gluten allergies, dairy allergies, food allergies on the rise. Do you think some of that could be, instead of looking at calories and food and this and that, maybe we understand that lowering overall chronic stress strengthens digestion? We're not even getting the food out of the food. Many people I work with are eating very healthy food and they're not getting the food. because they're under stress. Their colons are so ripped up, their small intestines, they can't get anything through there. They got leaky gut syndrome, all these kinds of things that are occurring. Ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, all these new age, and not like hippie new age, but like new stuff that's appearing in our culture because we're chronically stressed. Look at these things. I worked with a 65-year-old man one time, and he was a great runner, way better than I am, and just way faster. 5 prescription medications for cholesterol and blood pressure. Cholesterol, blood pressure. Ran 7 days a week. Had fat around the midsection. I said, you got 2 choices. Lower your exercise or raise your nutrition, because you are asking your body to do something and you are not supporting your body in that. This is going to come back to the self-care thing. Either lower your exercise or support your body better in what you're asking it to do. So guess what he asked? He did. I'm not stopping running. That's what he loved. Quality of life. It would have been stressful for him to stop running. So he said, you tell me what to do. I said, do this, this, and this. 2 months later, all 5 prescription medications, done. Done. He wrote a testimonial to me. My doctor was, quote, astounded. Why? Because his body responded. Here's what I say. We're asking our bodies in the modern world to build us a house. We say, will you build us a house, please? The body goes, you bet, you betcha. We go, here's some wood. The body goes, okay, cool, great, wood, great. I'm going to need some concrete for the foundation. I'm going to need some screws and nails, circular saw, some tools. And we go, yeah, I don't have any of that stuff. The body goes, but you just asked me to build a house. We go, I know, but all I have is wood. The body goes, okay. And it builds that house out of wood and nothing else. And it makes it look like a house, and it kind of puts it in the shape of a house. And then the house falls down. And we go, the house fell down. And the body goes, what did you think was going to happen when you gave me wood and nothing else to build a house with? You give me the stuff to build a house, I will build you the best house I can. The body never shuts down. The body never shuts down. It always does the best that it can under any circumstance, and that has nothing to do with you. What you guys have is the power to change your circumstance. We have the ability to change the environment within which our body functions. That's where nutrition comes into play. That's where exercise comes into play. That's where socializing comes into play. Humor, mental things that I'll talk about. We have the ability to change the environment, but the body's charging ahead with or without us. Physical nutrition. I'm going to talk about this because I also talk about mental nutrition, which is what I call it. What I started to talk this talk with was food is not the end-all be-all. It's one of the things, but I do think it's the foundation. It's the major determining factor of our ability to survive in the modern world, and here's why. Because everything that we do, each one of us, is through the bodies we're in. Everything we do is through the bodies that we're in. That's how we experience reality. I'm only arguing this fact. The better that this body functions, the cleaner, more efficiently it runs, the better we can experience the world. Our moods lighten. All the things that we don't really think about as food are allergies. I'm allergic to pollen and mold. You know how much of that's coming back to what we eat? Huge. Back pain. All these joint issues. Well, so much of it is at least affected by food. Not 100%. Not 100%. But definitely. I just took a tour of the garden before I came here. The fact that there's a hospital conjunction with a garden is mind-blowing in the best possible way, because the connection is finally being made. It's amazing. It's amazing. It was very inspiring for me to see that. So physical nutrition is the foundation of health and happiness. Now I'm going to talk to you about nutrition. Let's look at our clocks. It's 5:54. In less than 10 minutes, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about nutrition. Okay? Please don't look at a stopwatch. Here we go. All food is made up of these different. If you know this already, stick with me, because I want you to understand how I put it into play. The analogies that I make to make things make sense a little bit more. Okay? All right. All food is made up of different proportions of these things, macro and micronutrients. They're in food. Protein, fat, carbohydrates. Some foods have more of this and less of these. Some foods don't have any of these, but these, and so forth and so on and so forth. Micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, fiber, I would put on that verbally, and water. We don't eat fiber, but bacteria in our guts do. Different proportions of these things. Okay, here's the deal. A car. First analogy, car. This is the gas you put in a car. This is the motor oil you put in a car. Okay? This is the energy. What is a car designed to do? Drive. What does it need to drive? Good, gas. What does motor oil do in a car? Lubricates it, doesn't it? Does the car run on motor oil? No. Does it need motor oil?
Yes.
Why? Why? If it needs only gas to run, why would it need motor oil?
Squeezes them.
That's right. It won't run optimally. It'll break down without motor oil, won't it? So it needs a fuel source to do what it's designed to do, but it needs an oil source to make the machine run well, so when it's burning the gas, it's doing it with minimal wear and tear. Cut to human beings. We are designed to move, hear, think, smell, touch, taste, fight infection, digest food. We need fuel to do all those things: protein, fat, carbohydrate. Those are the calories in food. But we, like that car, need the oil to make our machines run well. Vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, these help the body burn these with minimal wear and tear. These are calories. Who here is deficient in calories? Who here does not get enough food to eat? Who here is starving? You get enough calories. Everybody in the United States get enough calories with almost 0.0%. Okay? And yet, and if you don't get enough calories, it could be how you're absorbing, but it's not from lack of food. Okay? And yet, what do we talk about when we talk about food in this country? Guess what? Protein mostly, fat, carbohydrate, good carbs, bad carbs, whole carbs, refined carbs, unsaturated fat, unsaturated fat, animal protein, plant protein, blah, 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 blah. We get enough of this. In spades, I can go to McDonald's right now, and for $3, I can get protein, fat, carbohydrates, no problem. But what am I missing from that meal from McDonald's for $3? These are the things that my body needs to run well. Isn't that amazing? This should be the conversation. This should be the conversation. This is what's missing out of our day-to-day. And only because we're in the modern world. Only because we can go into the market and buy white sugar. Where do you find white sugar in nature? Nowhere. It's human-made. Where do you find olive oil in nature? You don't find olive oil in nature. You find olives in nature. Because what olives have? Protein, fat, carbohydrates, vitamin, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, and fiber. That's what they have, olives. But you squeeze 40 of them, you squeeze 40 of them, and you get a tablespoon of olive oil. Now you've got something that's 100% fat, and none of this stuff is gone. We just tossed it. I'm going to show you this real quick because I want to illustrate the craziness of what we're up against in the modern world. This is a pamphlet that was given to my wife and me in the doctor's office 7 years ago when we were pregnant with our twins, we being her. I did really work on that. And a good start nutrition during other one comes and say, "We were pregnant." No, you were not we at all. Okay, who has good eyesight? Who can read the fine print on the bottom of this out loud for me? Huh? Go. Right by the A, the 8.
Okay,
down
the 8. Okay,
Out
copyright, 1988.
Keep going.
Revised, 1992.
Keep going.
National Cattlemen's Beef Association.
The National Cattlemen's, it's fine. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association is the one who puts the nutrition during pregnancy pamphlet in the doctor's office. Okay? This is not political, this is an ad campaign. This is a travesty, this is an ad campaign. And I was in school to become a nutritionist when this occurred. And here's the decision I made at the time. Ready? And I've stuck to it, and I always will. I never sell and never will sell anything nutritionally related. Ever. I sell pills of nothing, powders of nothing. I recommend things to clients sometimes, and I go, here's where you get it on Amazon. I'm connected to no company at all because that is a conflict of interest. And that's why we're talking about this and not about that. Okay. Now, the second analogy. And this is the one I want you to take home. Imagine a gift box. I want you to think about food as a gift box that has wrapping paper on it. And all food, by the way, it wouldn't be food if it didn't have something that we can burn for energy, right? Protein, fat, carbohydrate. For something to be food, it has to have 1, 2, or 3 of these things. So imagine the gift box, and the wrapping paper on the outside is the calories. So some gift boxes, some from protein, some from fat, some from carbohydrate, different proportions, but they all got wrapping paper. Now what's inside the box are the micronutrients. So here's what I want you to start thinking about. The heavier the box, the healthier the food. The one constant is that every food has wrapping paper on it, but what differs from food to food is what comes with it. And if I had a dream I would ask you to do this and not ever do this ever again. Never think, am I getting protein, fat, carbohydrate? Unless you're starving. If you're starving, find a Twinkie, eat a Twinkie, I don't care. Eat something to stay alive. But if you have access to more than a Twinkie, never ask protein, fat, and carbohydrate. Ask this question: what comes with the protein I eat? What comes with the fat I eat? What comes with the carbohydrate I eat? When you ask that question, what comes with, now you're talking about the stuff that makes your body run. Now you're starting with the stuff that helps you fight disease, reverse disease. Seriously, type 2 diabetes, by diet alone, sorry, but it's true. Okay? So, what comes with? Back to the box. How heavy that box is how healthy that food is. You've got your calories, but these differ. Some foods have almost none white sugar. Some foods have a ton, seaweed, and everywhere in between. So here I'm going to run you through this super fast list, okay? In this corner are empty and light box foods. White sugar, all carbohydrate on that wrapping paper, nothing inside. Olive oil, coconut oil, white flour, white sugar. Now, white sugar is an empty box, it's got nothing. Now, coconut oil has some stuff, but it's 100% fat, and it doesn't have very much inside. It's a light box. Moving into animals. Here's what's very interesting. People don't think about when they think about animals. The stress of that animal affects how healthy that animal is when we consume it. We never think about that. We're eggs and eggs and eggs. No, it's not. Free range, what you feed the animal, makes a huge difference in how healthy that animal is when we consume it. So I've had people go, is eating wild game a good step from conventionally raised beef? And I go, absolutely. Why? Because the pheasant flying around isn't under chronic stress all the time like a conventionally raised cow. And we're feeding corn to cows. Hello, hello, hello. We're feeding corn to cows. So if you feed it, make an unhealthy animal, less healthy when you consume it. Organic, grass-fed, naturally fed. The pheasant, the deer, is outside. It's moving around. Guess who doesn't have to move around anymore? We and the animals we domesticate. We've removed that, so cows don't have to, they don't move around, they stand like this. Food comes there, they don't have to run away from predators. They're eating unnatural food. Gosh, what does that sound like? Us. See, and we're consuming those animals. So if we can move, again, approaching the natural. Not, let's go live in the wild, but maybe you start thinking about, if I'm going to consume animal foods, maybe I make them a little more natural, free-ranging kind of a picture where the animal is a little able to live a little bit better. Right? Can move around, eat natural food, drink clean water, be out in sunlight, all the things, by the way, that we need. Nuts and seeds. That's our next foray. Now, for the first time in this entire list, we have fiber. Nuts and seeds are the first foods in this list that have fiber. Animal foods have no fiber, and refined plants, processed plants, white sugar, white flour, olive oil, no fiber. Nuts and seeds, fiber. Now again, if you haven't already, you're going to start hearing this. I've been talking about this for 5 years, and I said keep watching, and now it's hitting the mainstream. The bacteria in our gut is going to be, it already is and it has been for thousands of years, but the mainstream is going to make it the major player that it's always been. But it feeds on fiber. The good bacteria, you've heard good bacteria, feeds on fiber. We eat fiber, food. We eat food that has fiber in it. And it goes down in the small intestine. We get the nutrients out of the food. We get the protein and fat and carbohydrate. We get the vitamins and minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants. And that goes through our small intestine and we utilize it. What's left is the fiber. The bacteria is in our large intestine. It's going, okay, come on, baby. And when we're done taking all this stuff, we send that fiber down. And the good bacteria goes, great. But what happens when we don't have fiber in our food? What happens when a large part of our calories comes from food that has no fiber in it? The bacteria come in the large intestine. What happened to you ate a Twinkie, there's nothing left for me. What will I do? I'll eat the inside of the large intestine to stay alive. And that's literally what's happened. Literally what's happened. Talk about digestive problems. And on top of that, stress of a weakened digestion. Recipe for problems. Okay? All right, nuts and seeds. Whole grains. Brown rice, protein, fat, carbohydrate, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants. Brown rice. Where's white rice? Over there. Brown rice. And then we take 90% of trace minerals away. We take the essential oils and fats. We take the fiber away. We take a large part of the vitamins and minerals away. And then in a laboratory, we isolate about 6 things. and we put those back in and we call it enriched. Have you ever seen enriched unbleached flour? Isn't that tricky language? It's enriched. It would be good. It's enriching. Why doesn't whole wheat have the word enriched by it? It doesn't need it. It still has it. We haven't messed with it and then had to put a word on it so people will still buy it. Whole wheat over here. White flour over here. All the good stuff thrown away. Boom. Fruit, vegetables. I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your minds, and I'm okay with it, but I want you to tell me what happens when I tell you this. Day to day I eat, it's not a joke, today included, 10 to 15 bananas. That's what why? Okay. What else? Any other words besides potassium?
Vitamins, minerals,
You're answering the right. Usually people go, wow, that's a lot of sugar. And the point that I want to make is, remember, don't ask about sugar. That's another word for carbohydrate. Ask what comes with. Because the sugar in a banana is totally different from a sugar in white sugar. Now, I have no kidney problems. My body processes that, no problem. And I don't drink it all. I don't eat 50 bananas like a whoop. It's like all day. So I don't get a major amount of potassium all in one sitting. In fact, the higher you get up in the heavy box realm, the less calories in food. You know what I mean by that? A bowl of lettuce is 100 calories. A tablespoon of olive oil, actually less than a tablespoon, 3/4 of a tablespoon of olive oil, 100 calories. Same calories, 100 calories. Bowl of lettuce, 100 calories. So I eat 10 to 15 bananas because I'm a runner. I need enough calories. And that's not even half of the amount of calories I eat in a given day. But that sounds so crazy to people, but they're going to drizzle olive oil on a bowl of lettuce this big that has 30 calories of lettuce. They're going to drizzle olive oil. They're going to say, look, I have this big salad. And I go, no, you don't. You have a big thing of olive oil. Because you just drizzled 600 calories of olive oil on 30 calories of lettuce. It looks like a big salad, but most of your calories are coming from a light box food. A concentrated calorie source, white sugars in 32-ounce soda has as much sugar as 10 feet of sugar cane. That's how we humans, the technology, is we can distill 10 feet of sugar cane, which would take you hours to consume, into a bottle that's 32 ounces that you can consume in 10 minutes. That's how much sugar we get all at once. And there's no fiber to slow that down. Bananas don't spike blood sugar because they have fiber in them and they have water in them, and they come slowly. And I don't stuff them down because I can't. Can't eat 15 bananas in sitting. It'd be like the worst contest in the world. So how do we approach the natural in the food realm? Is we go little bit by little bit, and we start to add in a few more calories day to day that come from heavier box foods over time. I can tell you guys, go over here 100% of the time. I don't eat over here 100% of the time. I don't eat over here 100% of the time. Partly because stress isn't just about food. There's enjoyment, and there's fun, and there's fun meals, and I eat sourdough bread, but I don't eat it every day. I make sure that the calories I get from heavy box food far outweigh the ones I get from light box food. And your health, food in the food realm, is going to be determined by your calories from heavy box versus calories from light box. It's very simple. We've dialed it in. Why doesn't everybody do that? Because we have enjoyment about food, and we have tradition about food, and we have ritual about food, and we have nostalgia about food, and more on that in a bit, because I'm going to talk about small steps. This is a test question from our government. The test is mine. Don't worry about dairy for this. Look at these 4 words and tell me what doesn't belong on there and why.
Protein.
Why?
It's a different category.
Exactly. Vegetables are food, fruits are food, grains are food. Protein is not food. Protein is in food. And by the way, broccoli has 45% protein. On the wrapping paper of broccoli, 45% comes from protein. That makes it a better protein source than beef, which is 28%. But yet, according to this thing, broccoli's over here and has 0 protein. Spinach, 40% protein. It's impossible to be protein deficient if you get enough calories to eat. There is nobody who is protein deficient because of not getting enough protein in food, unless you're just eating white sugar and olive oil all day, in which case you've got a bigger problem. Bananas have protein in them. Otherwise, hard gorillas on berries and leaves just... Okay? But that's that pamphlet. See? Isn't that insidious? It gets us. Again, I'm not taking anything away from you. I'm just saying that's an ad campaign. You can disagree or agree with me what I'm saying here, but it's not because you're not going to walk out and go, I think he's trying to sell us something, because I'm not. That's my only point with showing you this thing, is even though I discuss this kind of thing, people still look at that, and that's so ingrained as a synonym for meat. We all know beans and rice. Everybody, even people who are not vegetarian, know beans and rice, complete protein. Well, not according to this plate. We know it, but not according to this plate.
That's erroneous then.
Yes, it is. Sid's list of most of the time foods. Focus on most of the time here. This is going to get into the small steps aspect. Whole fruit. I only have to put whole because we live in a modern world. Okay? Whole vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, beans is sort of in the seed realm. Purified water, and now all I just mean is clean water. That's all. Clean water. Don't overthink it. Clean water. This is how hard it is to eat healthy. Just eat that stuff. Gorillas, interestingly, I did some research on this and I found video footage, secret camera setup. Gorillas walk around the wild, and when they don't think anybody's looking, they take out a glycemic index chart. We think about food more than anybody in the entire world, and we're the least healthy species in the world. They don't measure out 8 glasses of 8 ounces, regardless of whether you're 6'5" or 4'11". 8 ounces of 8 times a day. I understand that we have to make certain norms. I get it. But really, we're taking more pills than ever before. We're taking more supplements than ever before. We're taking more pharmaceuticals than otherwise. We're spending billions of dollars on bottles. I take no supplementation except for 2 things. D, when I'm not in the sun, and B12. Why? Because I wash my food. I wash the soil bacteria off my food. That's where it comes from, soil bacteria. That's it. Everything else, boom. Okay? I'm 47 years old. Last April, I ran a 50-mile race. I haven't been sick in 2 years. Okay? Now, could I do a little bit better than this? Sure. But I found a balance for me. Wink, wink. I'm giving you a little spoiler alert. Okay. All right, here we go. I touched on this before. The point that I want to make is exercise, don't blanket it. It's good for you. Well, sometimes it's not. And when I ran a 50-mile race, guess what happened to my body? I put fat around the midsection. My wife goes, you have a little fat, you have a little pooch. And I go, yeah, because I'm under stress. I knew it, so I trained and did it. I recovered very quickly, didn't get sick, didn't get injured. I think I made it okay. It was fun for me to do. Not ain't doing another one yet. Taking my time. Why? Because I have kids and everything else. I work full time. My wife does too. Where does it fit into my life? But I made sure not to make this mistake, which I hear all the time. Oh, they're a triathlete. They can eat whatever they want. Oh, no, they cannot. The more demands you put on your body, the more you should support. Not should. I'm very wary of should. The better you'll do if you support your body. We need to stop thinking about, I can eat whatever I want if I just go to spin class. Because calories in, calories out. This is a health discussion. The one biggest message I send to all my clients who come to me for weight loss is, we're not talking about weight loss anymore. Because weight loss is a side effect of health. I'll put it this way. Healthy weight is a side effect of health. It is a misguided discussion to think about weight, scale. It's a body stress response. If you're holding on to extra weight or if you're too thin, same thing. Same thing. It's a body out of balance. I want to teach people how to think about their own lives and bodies as far as how can they achieve better balance. Not, my body's stupid because it carries extra weight. No, your body's doing exactly what it's designed to do. Help it do it better, and it will respond, just like that 65-year-old runner who was running too much. Mental nutrition. Physical nutrition, food. Mental nutrition, how do we feed our minds? This is where it comes to the most of the time aspect of food, where I can become militant. And I've talked to many people, by the way, who are eating very good diets, but they're militant. There's a militancy, and they're rigid, and they have lists of things, and that's all-consuming. Because what happens when you become all-consumed with one thing? Everything else in your life becomes out of balance. How do we achieve mental and physical balance? This is beyond food. I just wanted you to know. More heavy box calories. Done. Now, how do you do that? How do you achieve that long term? Healthy mental food.
You fill out the other areas of your life with things that are enriching. Humor, what she said, is perfect example. And scientifically studied, by the way. But do we, again, meditation, journaling, art, creativity, socializing. We're a tribe. The natural of us, we're tribal. I don't live near my family. I moved away. Our tribes are separated as soon as we hit 18. See ya! And now I talk to my parents with one of these. That's not ideal. I still do it though. It's better than nothing. But we have moved away. So bringing in healthy relationships, doing creative pursuits. I have helped people with addiction, food addictions, candy. I had a client once in Arizona, and she goes, I'm an all or nothing person. When candy comes in the office, I either binge on it or I just can't be around it. 3 weeks later, she said, somebody brought in candy, I had a couple pieces, and I didn't feel like having any more. Guess what? At that point, I hadn't discussed food with her one time. I hadn't talked about food one time. 2 reasons. I don't want her to think about food as much anymore, and 2, she already knows candy's not good for her. What can I do as a nutritionist? Candy's not good for you, don't eat it. You're an alcoholic, stop drinking. But what I did do was say, let's fill in some of these things. Let's start writing in the morning about how you want to live your life, asking the questions that we never take time to do. Let's bring in friends and spend more time with your friends. I took the attention, which she came to me for, which was candy, and moved it out a little bit more into these other areas. And sure enough, she comes to work a little bit, what? Less stressed. A little more grounded. A little more calm. A little more, guess what? In touch with the fact that she doesn't really want to eat that candy. That she's in conflict about that. It doesn't make her feel good when she does that, and she wants to be able to not do that. Well, I can tell her to stop doing it, and then she's just going to think of what she can't have. I really want it, but I shouldn't. I really want it, but I shouldn't. And I said, okay, and I literally said, keep eating the candy for now. I literally said that to her day 2 of our work together. Keep eating the candy. What? I go, yeah, we're not there yet. We'll talk about that later. Keep eating it. If the candy comes in the office, just do it. Reckless abandon. Go for it. Weight comes off her shoulders. We start doing this stuff. All of a sudden, different place here. And that leads me to this. Make no mistake, the most common misconception about how I come at this is for somebody to say, oh yeah, it's small steps. Whatever you want to do, just break it down into little teeny things. It's not that simple. What I talk about is learning how to determine what you can take on such that, guess what, you don't add more stress to your life in doing that. So I had a client, morbidly obese, 400 pounds. Fast food 3 times a day. Now again, I could say, don't eat fast food, but she already knows it's not good for her. I can say, take it away, and she'll do it short term like a diet. I won't do this, but then she'll end up going back. So instead what I said was, can you put something on your plate at night that is raw? Cucumber, celery, pear. She goes, I love celery. I go, good. How much celery can you handle? Can you do 1 stalk of celery? She goes, sure. 1 stalk. We can't do that. I wasn't telling her not to eat anything. I said, just on your plate, put 1 stalk of celery and eat that. With whatever you're eating. 3 weeks later, I call her and I go, of course you can do that every day, because who can't do 1 stalk of celery, right? So I call her 3 weeks later and I go, can I ask you a question I want you to answer me absolutely honestly. Do you eat healthy food every day? And for the first time in her life, she said, yes, I do. Because she eats a stalk of celery every day. Now, is that enough celery to make her thin and perfectly healthy? No, we're not there yet. But the identification of her as a person who eats healthy food, then I gotcha. Now we can build from there. Then 1 stalk turns into 2 stalks, 2 stalks and turns into a little pile of greens, but that's her. I've had people with stage 4 cancer come to me, and their small step is, you tell me what to do and I'll do it. The small step of that 65-year-old runner I told you about was gargantuan comparatively. He was ready to do that because it was his quality of life at stake, so that was his small step. It's not objectively one size, it's what are you able to take on. I've started people who used to exercise, and they think, and this is a big one, we have ideas of what things are. We think exercise is 30 minutes at a zone 2 heart rate, blah, blah, blah. But this is exercise. Just that one that I did. And I've started clients with just that. And then they start thinking of themselves as somebody who exercises every day. Because they can do that, and there's no added stress to their lives to do 1 squat. I've had clients go, what do you do in the morning? They go, I walk downstairs, I heat up the water for my tea. I go, can you do 5 squats while you're doing that? Yeah. If their response is, yeah. Because now they're waiting for their tea, they're sitting there anyway, and they do 5 squats, and they're just doing whatever they're doing. And then they get to finish the rest of their day knowing that they exercised, where they didn't before because they didn't have time to go to the gym for 45 minutes, because they have a busy life and other things to do. We have a wall of behaviors that for years, I'm 47, so 40 years, 45, 6, 7 years, I've got all these things that I grew up with and I've kind of ingrained. For me to expect anybody to do 100% new things overnight and stick with that long term is absolutely ridiculous. That's why 95% of diets fail. But if I can say, in your wall of behaviors, a little crack. You want to journal? Okay. Journaling, oh, that's 30 minutes a day. No. It's one word on a piece of paper. Is that going to solve your issues tomorrow? No. Yeah, but not no. Not yes, because it's journaling, but it begins the behavior. It begins that behavior. Once you begin behavior and start to identify yourself as somebody who journals every day, you're going to be doing more naturally. You'll progress, and it won't be stressful for you. You won't burn out, because as soon as you feel the stress by it, you back it back down again. You go, okay, this is where I can fit this in my life right now. If you start food-wise and start to include some heavy box food, little by little, you're doing okay, and all of a sudden you get diagnosed with, not going, God forbid, but diabetes. Your next step may be a lot bigger than your first step was, because your life has changed, your motivation has changed. I'm going to finish up with this overarching message. When you enter your life as a small stepper, when you begin to include things in your day-to-day, the number one measure of a size of step, if it's appropriate, is does it add stress to you or not? Or does it add just minimally? You know what that says? You're taking care of yourself. You're thinking about your well-being. You're not disconnected from a diet where somebody says, eat this, and you eat it, and you're miserable, and then you give it up and don't do it at all. Or I put you on a fitness plan, and 2 weeks later, you're exhausted and burnt, and you're aching, and you have aches and pains, and you just say, forget it. You're in charge of what you take on. You're in charge of taking care of yourself. You start thinking about, how can I best take care of myself? How can I support my body in what I'm asking my body to do? That's an amazing, remember I started this talk by saying this is a philosophy of health talk. It's bigger than diet, it's bigger than exercise, it's bigger than journaling, it's bigger than meditation. It's all the ways that we can enter the modern world and say, what's the best thing I can do today? If I'm traveling, the best thing I can do today may be some, concentrated juice from an airport market. But that's great, because I'm still coming at it. What's the best thing I can do in this situation? Not, forget it, I can't do what's on my list on day 2, so forget it. I can't go to your party because I'm on day 6 of my thing, of my diet, of my quick fix. Sorry, I gotta miss my child's birthday party. Where does it fit into your life? Where does living well and being happy fit into your life? And how can you make incremental movements to live a little bit better, to live a little bit more natural, to live a little bit more balanced? And does that make us live a little better, a little happier, a little healthier? I believe that it does. Thank you very much.
All the sugar when you get one of those juices. And
Yeah, not ideal. Because what do juices do? They take the fiber away. See? And that fiber is what slows that down. So the American Harvard Public School of Health. Whole fruit lowers risk of type 2 diabetes. Juice raises it. Isn't that amazing? So you take the fiber out, all of a sudden, boom, your blood sugar goes up, the insulin's rushing to get that out of there.
That what you call simple carbohydrate?
Simple is in fruit, and that's amazing if it comes with the stuff.
Yeah.
Refined, no go. I'm okay with simple.
I have a client that's diabetic,
Okay.
and her blood sugar is all over the place. We get bottled juice from the food bank. Can I give her a small amount of that to bring it up? I know they say you can for orange juice.
Oh, you mean when she's having an actual insulin reaction?
Huh?
When she's having like too much insulin?
Okay, her blood sugar could be as low as 70.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, then that's a different thing. That's not a being healthy thing. That's a taking care of an acute situation. I mean, I can't advise you.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just asking.
Yes, but yes. I mean, my grandma was diabetic. She would have an insulin. Too much insulin. We would give her orange juice to sort of keep that in the balance.
But then you were saying the fruit, can I give her like, even if her insulin isn't, I mean.
I can't say.
Okay.
And there's just too much, I'm so sorry to say. But here, I'm just gonna talk about diabetes for 1 second. Diabetes, and this is just something you should look into yourself, is more of a fat issue than a carbohydrate issue. We do best on carbohydrate. We are a carbohydrate thriving species. The brain is fueled by one of those 3 nutrients, carbohydrate. We don't do well on high-fat diets. Fat inhibits insulin's ability to get the sugar out of the blood. We make it about sugar, and we put people on high-protein diets, and that causes increased inflammation. Excess protein is stored as fat. It's a bigger picture than carbohydrate. Look into it yourselves. I'm just very sensitive about that. So it's a bigger picture. A lot of diabetics are overweight. That's your problem more than the carbohydrate. Short term, yeah, we gotta watch all those things, but short term.
But you need healthy fat in your diet, right?
You need healthy fat. You just don't need a ton of it.
Right.
Absolutely. And healthy fat, by the way, you don't have to overthink it with oils and things. Eat the fat from an avocado or nuts and seeds. You've got the healthy fats all here. There's no unhealthy versions of protein, fat, or carbohydrate when it's in food that comes with all the vitamins and minerals and all that kind of stuff. Cool, right? What else?
I've just been aware in certain research I've done that high protein diets like the paleo diet can lead to cognitive decline.
Yeah, it's an inflammatory issue. I mean, it's protein is such a thing. We are a low protein species. Little test question. Imagine human breast milk as that box I was telling you about, okay? The gift box, human breast milk. So some of the calories in human breast milk come from protein, some from fat, some from carbohydrate. When we're born, we are 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds, 9 pounds. By the time we're 2 years old, 24, 25 pounds. These are averages. But we grow a huge amount in those first 2 years, and we're breastfeeding, in theory. I didn't, because the doctor said, you don't need to breastfeed, you went to my mom. But all that growth, what percentage of the wrapping paper from human breast milk comes from protein? Anybody know? So some from protein, some from fat, some from carbohydrate. What percentage comes from protein? Anybody can guess? Ballpark.
2?
Less than 5%. Less than 5%. When I was training for my ultramarathons, I kept my protein levels as low as possible.
I was going to ask you something about the olive oil. So how much, let's say you use the olive oil for the fuel, right? The good fat. How much is okay for a day without being?
I want to really simplify this. There is no prescribed eat this amount and there it is. It's what is the percentage of heavy box calories that you get versus light box? Olive oil is almost empty box. It might have better fat in it than peanut oil, but it has no vitamins, virtually some vitamins, but almost no vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, no fiber, and no water. It's a light box food. It has no business in our bodies. Do I eat olive oil? Sure, but not because it's healthy. I eat sourdough bread too. Remember, most of the time, I also have single malt scotch. That guy's Scottish. We had a little chat about single malt scotch. People go, you're a nutritionist and you drink single malt scotch? I go, I'm a nutritionist so I can drink single malt scotch. I eat pretty well most of the time, so if I want to have a scotch now and then, I do. But I don't do it because it's healthy. I do it, I know that it's unhealthy, so I put it in my body in minimal ways so it doesn't debilitate me. If I start to have health problems, guess what? That'd be the knockout. I'd get rid of that. I'd get rid of coffee and I'd get rid of white bread.
You mentioned one of your major fibers is legumes, all kinds of legumes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Now remember, did you say fibers?
Fiber.
It's actually fibers. It's like hundreds of different kinds of fibers. It's amazing. So this is, if you hear my excitement level go up, it's because I am doing so much research right now on the gut bacteria, because it's a mind blower. Where the fact that we're more bacteria than human cell is just unbelievable, and what that affects. I mean, how the good gut bacteria creates these essential fatty acids from the fiber that our bodies utilize that are anti-inflammatory. It's the coolest thing ever. How well we sleep, like I said, our moods, how much nutrition we get out of food, bacteria we work with. We're too clean. We're too clean.
I got a couple things. I love what you're saying about protein. I haven't eaten meat for 40 years. So
Yeah, I haven't had it in 12.
Yeah.
You know, and again, like I don't, there is plenty of protein in everything above here and in spades. Like I said, 45% broccoli. But again, I'm not trying to instill militancy here. I'm saying that if you want to eat meat, if you choose to eat meat, maybe if you approach the natural, you start thinking about healthier versions of that meat. I want, at the end of the day, I want you to approach your lives in a self-care way. And that's a way to say, if I go from here, like my client who's morbidly obese, if I said, You're over here, go all the way over there. I did her an enormous disservice because now she's miserable. And now she gets to fail. She will fail. I mean, there's a 95% chance she'll fail. So now she's not going to be eating well in 2 months, and she's going to know that she couldn't keep it up. And she failed. And even though I set her up for no other option than failure. Diets don't set you up for success. Easing your way in over time sets you up for success because you're in charge of the process and the progress. That's empowering. That's empowering.
I have a couple of things. If you're not, I'm not a vegetarian, but I can't afford to buy meat all the time. So I have lots of dried beans on hand, and they're higher in protein than meat. The other thing is too, I have ADD, and I do drink coffee on occasion. I'm not. Is there anything wrong with that? One. Two, what can I use to substitute?
For coffee? I mean, yerba mate is a much better option than coffee. Again, like I drink coffee, I roast my own beans. Like I love coffee. So again, like I kind of set I call it the mott most of the time. I set my mott pretty high so that I can enjoy things like coffee.
Okay.
And beans, on average, about a quarter. They're a little less protein, but again, we do better on low protein, so it's never a worry. Here's the thing, I don't count, measure, or weigh anything, and I haven't for 12 years. I don't count, measure, or weigh anything. That's so liberating for me because then I get to do fun stuff like this, and I don't have to come with little containers and measurements and things. Can you guys hold on a second? I'm going to measure out half a cup of blah, 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 and watch my calories. I don't count calories.
Speaking of little containers, that was delicious.
I didn't make it, they made it.
Very
That's your amazing,
That's
that's your
your
amazing
restaurant.
hospital is what you guys should be mindful. That's an incredible thing that you guys have in regard to.
Okay, 3 things that I've been looking at that would connect us with the species we used to be, that we're not in the modern world very well at all. But people are doing more now, fermented vegetables, because we're so dependent on the refrigerator and microbes and suffering, so fermented vegetables. Skin brushing, because we don't run through we are bundled up all the time.
Right.
And there is this thing called Earth.
Yeah, it's funny. I do that.
Which is so
I have a whole chapter. I have a whole chapter in my book dedicated to everything, and people think it's the craziest thing. But when we go out into the sun, we know that we interact with the sun. We make vitamin D. We all know that. But I don't want to make you trip out. But when our skin is supposed to be connected to nature. I mean, we are supposed to be connected to nature, and there's literally an electrical effect of putting your skin on the ground. It's a grounding effect. They've measured it. They've wired people up, and they put their foot on the earth, and the electricity in their bodies, the static electricity goes down and balances out. It's pretty amazing. Muscle tension normalizes. It's pretty cool stuff.
How much protein in eggs is good for you?
I don't think that animal protein is good for you. I don't think that high quality protein, which is an animal food, they call it high quality protein. That doesn't mean it's healthy. That means that it grows in a species, that it grows an organism as fast as possible. All the amino acids are represented in the plant realm, and the good news is that plants are missing some. If you eat a variety of plants, am I protein deficient?
No.
Okay, I mean, really. Okay, here's the thing. My wife and I, 3 small children. I've got an 11-year-old and 7-year-old twins. 20 to 25 heads of lettuce a week.
Wow. What kind of lettuce?
Red, romaine, whatever they got.
So the raw apple cider vinegar, I use that a lot. Raw apple cider vinegar, and I use that a lot, especially on fast days. And it's marvelous.
Why? Because it's alkaline. Because it's alkaline.
Yeah.
Guess what's not? Acid-forming animal protein. Refined plants are acid-forming. Nuts and seeds are kind of in the middle, and then fruits and vegetables are all alkaline. I'm not going to get into it. It's deeper stuff than I was going to get into today, and you don't even need it. The same heavy box spectrum is the same spectrum of no antioxidants, very little antioxidants, a ton of antioxidants. Highly acid-forming, neutral, alkaline. No nutrients, some nutrients, a ton of nutrients. It's the same spectrum. What comes with the food? What comes with the food you eat? What comes in the food you eat?
Sid?
Yeah.
Could you talk a little about working with clients? How you work with clients? I mean, you said a lot tonight, but sort of what is the process?
The process with my clients, and I'll tell you, I'm very sensitive about the cell here, so there's, if you can tell, there's no cell here, just trust me on that, okay? Like I said, Seeking Health B12, that's what I get, go on Amazon, okay? All right, that's my favorite brand. The way that I work with clients, I'm just going to relate it to the talk I just gave you. When I start with a client, I do a consultation for about an hour. I find out
their lifestyle, what kind of job they have, and I want you guys to do this for yourselves. Where's my life right now? How much time do I spend with family? How much time, what time do I get up in the morning, et cetera, et cetera. This is how I start to know where I can make cracks. Well, I drive to work for an hour. Okay, can we infuse some deep breathing? Can you put a sticker on your steering wheel or a note in your car, I'm not kidding, or an alarm on your phone that says deep breath? And now you're in the car, and instead you're getting stressed because you're listening to NPR and Donald Trump's through the roof, and you're going, or you put a deep breath on your steering wheel, and before you get to work, you're just in a little bit better place. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I'm just kidding around. Okay, but seriously. So I do a quick assessment. Then the month begins, and I work with people for a minimum of a month, usually a maximum of a month, and that is phone calls throughout the week. Why? Because nutrition is about this much. Knowledge is about this much. I can teach everybody very quickly. Then the real work begins, which is implementation. How to train them, how to build a steps list. How to train them to think for themselves about what to add. I never tell somebody, here's the next step you're going to do. I go, what do you think? What do you want to add in? Well, I used to like quilting. This is a real story. I used to like quilting. I go, good. What was your quilting stuff? It's buried in a box in my storeroom. I go, okay, what if your step was 5 minutes a week, you get that stuff out, and you start to make a little area for yourself. And then the next step she did was 10 minutes a week of quilting. 10. Why? Because creativity. She started to become happier. It was something she wanted to do. And so all of a sudden she's quilting again. 10 minutes a week, so what? She's quilting again. And then of course she gets that foundation, and then she's quilting more and more and more. It works in every aspect of your life if you come at your life like that. And if you start to value other things besides food and exercise, food and exercise, food and exercise, food and exercise. Does quilting good for you? Yes, it is, if that gives you enjoyment. As good for you as anything else.
I was going to ask, if you didn't run like you do, how would your diet be changed?
I would eat less. And it's the truth. So I've been this thin, whether I'm jumping on a trampoline. When my twins were born, it was like, people said, oh, twins are really hard the first year, and I was like, yeah, I'm sure. And it was like 80 times harder than I thought it was going to be. So we were so tired, like one would wake up, and then the other would go to sleep, the other one would wake up, and I'd be changing diapers, my wife's breastfeeding one, and then we're switching on. It was like crazy. So the amount of exercise I did was to have a trampoline in my living room, and I would just kind of do this. And I was just this thin, by the way. I still ate heavy box food most of the time. And I would just jump up and down for 5-10 minutes. That's all I could manage. Like the idea of going outside and running was just not on my table. But I didn't say, then if I can't run, then no movement. I said, what can I do right now?
You did have the baby in your arms.
No, I didn't. No. But we did have a yoga ball. That was a big one. They love the yoga ball. But actually, when my wife would be breastfeeding one, there was a little field up on top of my house, and I would have one of them in a sling, and I did this path through this field, and then when she'd be done with that one, I'd bring that one. But I literally carved a path, like a full dirt trail out of all this grass, because I just did this one round like 1,000 times, and it just carved this perfect little trail so many times. Anything else?
We'll look you up.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you all. Thanks for being here.